First story. Wife night out with the male friend. I hope I found out the truth. Not sure how I messed up that title, but with male friend. Looking for advice to help me feel sane. Off the bat, let me just say that I have no concern at all my wife is actually cheating on me, emotionally or physically. But her actions around this just left me feeling disrespected. And what made it worse was I feel like she gaslit and told me there's no reason for me to be upset or affected by it. Married for almost 9 years, 2 kids. We moved a state away and don't really have many friends or family nearby. So most of our life we do everything together and on the weekends often visit family, but almost always together. We don't have full social schedules with tons of friends we see apart from each other. Sunday we are at the beach, and she gets a text from an old friend from grad school. We started dating around this time, so I met her crew of friends a few times, but we didn't do much with them as time went on. A year ago she found a connection for a new job near us with one guy from that crew, despite him working there remotely and living half the country away with his wife kids. She asks if she can try to squeeze in meeting up with him that night. He's in town for a conference, and says this will be like when you get drinks with John when he's in town. I say sure, we'll figure it out. I don't adore the idea of my wife going to get drinks one-on-one with a dude in the evening. But I get that time is tight because he's not in town for long, and we were at the beach so she couldn't just say hey come over and have lunch with us. I don't however think me getting a few drinks with a male friend of mine from college twice in the last 5 years is any way akin to going out for drinks at night one-on-one with the opposite sex. I would say at this point I'm barely mildly peeved, which is my own personal fault I can admit, and it's mostly just because since we had kids and maybe in general since being married, I've never once been in a situation getting drinks at night one-on-one with a woman. Earlier in our relationship, she got jealous with me saying something about a friend's new girlfriend being a catch for him, so since then I was a bit more careful to respect her self-esteem and make sure my gaze didn't wander. But she's never once in her life felt the sting or jealousy that might come from being alone at home, while your spouse is alone with someone of the OPP sex. A few months back she met up with a different guy from the same friend group at a networking event, since they all work in the same field. That didn't upset me like this. Later I'm reading to the kids and getting them into bed and she's showering and getting ready. And as the outfit is coming together I'm thinking, boy, when was the last time she was this dressed up with me, which was probably a milestone date 2 years ago honestly. She's getting ready, hair and makeup in chunks for a solid hour. My son comes back into the bedroom and says mommy smells so pretty and I'm just like yep. Now she's heading out and as she comes out of the bathroom I'm struck with the amount of makeup and the time that went into the hair. And I sort of have a startled face and say I didn't think she was getting that gussied up to go meet an old friend for a drink and catch up. She says gussied up, as though she hasn't spent considerable time putting together an outfit and doing hair and makeup. We exchange a few words, and she can tell I'm mildly annoyed that she got all dolled up to go meet a man alone, but we're not arguing. I reassure her I'm not suspicious of her, but I don't know all that time was needed. Didn't expect her to go out in a burlap sack, but from a 0-10 on dressed upness, she's usually at a 7-8 when we do things out. This was at a 10. She made the point that she doesn't go out at night often, so it's an opportunity to get prettied up. So yeah, she's done up. So this really upset me because she just took offense and got defensive over me saying she got gussied up, and she moments later says yeah I got gussied up. She tells me the bar closes at 11 so it won't be that late. Good, I'm thinking. Close to 11 I get a text that they're ahead to another bar to getting another drink. I ask I thought the bar was closing at 11. No response. I go to bed at 11:15. She said earlier she'd end up home. Well, I'm still getting ready for bed as I tend to go to sleep later. I'm not able to get to sleep since I'm annoyed and get some texts at 11:30 that they're still catching up. Oh, the bus is here and I caught it. So she gets home at like 6:30 on a Monday morning, which to me was disrespectful to me. What upsets me the most is the fact that she gaslit me by saying this is like when I go get a drink with a guy, and getting defensive about being down up before admitting she is in fact done up. Add in the fact that I've never once put her in this position, and I feel like she should be a bit more concerned with my reaction or opinion. Her being out an extra hour than she said. Meanwhile the bar did close and they just went out on the streets and chatted in a bus stop while homeless people wandered about and then went into a pizza place to chat more truly offended me. And picturing my wife all dressed up chatting with a guy all night into the wee hours strolling down the street sounds like a really nice date. She said she understands my POV and that I'm upset. But I feel like she's giving me the I'm sorry you felt disrespected by that and said she'll be sure it doesn't happen like this again. Personally, if she was getting together with a group, even if they were all guys, it's not as upsetting to me. If you want to grab coffee or a lunch and catch up with someone, great. But at night, all dressed up more than I ever really get to see into the wee hours felt personally disrespectful to me. Another point she kept stressing to me was that I met this guy. I met him 3 times about 12 years ago. And I don't think meeting someone once or twice or 40 times should give a spouse any comfort their spouse won't end up cheating. I had no reason to be skeptical of this friend more than any person. But my offense was only about her actions along the way. I'm sure plenty of people will call me a baby, or that I'm jealous, and yeah, I am to a degree due to conditioning in our marriage being a certain way. But I still feel that I'm not wrong to feel wronged in this situation. Sorry this is so long, but anyone who had the time to read my diatribe, am I wrong for being upset and losing sleep over this? Wife doesn't think it's offensive to me for her to get dialed up to the 9s to meet up with an old male friend for drinks and stay longer into the early morning, and gaslit me into thinking there's nothing here for me to be upset by. So I've never grilled my wife about any crushes or hookups happening with this friend group, but that's because I trust her. In my head and from my experience in college and friend groups in the years that followed, there are usually some unrequited feelings one person has for another, and maybe people slip out of a group because of that. I don't intend to grill her about this guy, because again, it's honestly not at all about this guy. Just about the actions of that night and how she reacted to me being jealous and admittedly personally hurt by her staying out extra late after she knew I was a bit annoyed. Our relationship also isn't that she would purposefully stay out late to piss me off more because I had the audacity to say she was dolled up. We and she are not like that. And agreed, like I said, if she had met up in almost any other setting or with a group, I wouldn't be as hurt. Daytime coffee or lunch, having this guy over to our place, and I can entertain the kids while they catch up over a cup of coffee in the kitchen. In this instance the timing didn't work out, he was leaving our area the next morning. So what I told her is, so why didn't your good friend text you Friday or last Wednesday, and say, hey I'm gonna be in your city, can we meet up, I might be available here and here. I've had friends hit me last minute and just said, yeah that doesn't work. I'm not blowing up my family's plans to go meet you 25 minutes away, give me more warning next time. So she used the late notice and limited time as a reason to go out to a bar she chose, and she could use as a reason she has to get dressed up. I knew I'd get these from seeing, and please think what you want to think, it's a free world, but that's not the situation. I do agree however that this is a date for all intents and purposes. What I kept saying to her was, you can write out the details of your night on paper, and anyone reading it would see it as you going out on a cute date with a guy your husband met a few times many years ago. Why should that not offend me? And again, since I've never put her in this position, it offends me that she could put herself in my shoes and say, yeah, if you put on a nice blazer and dress shoes to go hang out with your old work friend, who is a woman, I'd be jealous. Honestly, since we moved there really aren't female coworkers I would meet up with, because I'm not in the business of seeking out new lady friends since I'm married. Of course you get to know co-workers, but I've been managing a team so most of my co-workers are my employees or are older and not available for happy hours and such due to kids and other responsibilities. But 100% my plan to make myself okay with this is to just be more socially open now. Maybe I do meet some people who share my interests, man or woman. But when I feel I want to do work to make her feel jealousy, I realize that's me putting in time and effort to hurt someone. So why shouldn't it just be saying fuck it, let's split? She's already said it will not happen again, so I'm not thinking that way. I've said it a million times, but there is no weird thing about this guy in general. I have zero reason to assume she's hiding some fling or hookup with him in the past. Not sure how else to tell you people this, but she's not rekindling an old romance. She just is too naive about what the AVG man thinks and has trouble seeing things from a different POV. My consequences have legit zero to do with this guy, but about the way we meet up with old acquaintances, if they're opposite sex. It's complicated but not regularly, no. But complicating that is that I don't necessarily love to go out for a restaurant date. We have kids and don't have a big support network near home. Also are trying to be frugal with money to save, so we try to curb even takeout nights in favor of cooking. I do 100% think that us finding nights where my brother can watch the kids and allow us to grab a few drinks or dinner together and date would be the right move. But wanting to save money is the main reason we don't really prioritize that. We're boring, but it's okay. But doing that would take any truth out of her needing to take an opportunity to be out in the world and have a reason to put perfume in. She showed me her chat with him. Unless she had a totally separate chat on an app I don't know about, and also spent time concocting a very normal chat in her text app between two old friends deciding on a place that could make sense, which was timed exactly when they were texting. It's not that their chat had nothing suspicious or flirty. I'm not in any way intimidated by this guy or suspicious of my wife cheating. She isn't that person. But she was born in a different country. And every once in a while we have a minor disagreement that becomes a bigger argument. When she just can't see my POV, which just plain sucks. This one surprises me though, because her family is religious, her country is religious, and I would bet in her home country married adults would be far less likely to think this was a normal thing than in the States. Well, when people have the facts completely wrong, like saying why didn't she invite you? How could you allow that? When we have kids and there's literally no way that would work, yet I'll correct the lens. When people are telling me she's cheating, bro, leave in the night. Absolutely not what this is about, just about communication and mutual respect. Working, so don't have time to read all this, but will return later in the evening to read your thoughts. But off the top, no, she was not noticeably tipsy. If she was, I'd have been far more pissed, because tipsy people one-on-one is not cool no matter how much you trust them. My wife can get sloppy somewhat quick, so the fact that she wasn't noticeably drunk was a relief to me. He's not an ex, and I'm also not threatened by him in any way. They continued chatting out on the streets and walked into a pizza place to keep chatting. I think she told me this to make me okay with it, but it just felt like two adults having a lovely date night on the town. To me, the reasonable thing would have been the bar is closing at 11, you're finishing your last drink and your conversation. You walk outside, finish that subject and say it was so great to catch up, take care, and then you come home to your husband. So I was honest with her that this detail, once she already knew I was annoyed, was the most hurtful part. Thank you, and I agree. I'm comforted by her saying it won't happen again, but I need to talk through it more with her until she understands why a few details can change so much about how it feels. If it comes to it, I'll tell her we need couples therapy, because I'm just that certain I'm not the one who is off base here. Agreed, and yeah, there won't be a next time. She agreed that she understands that the time and situation can be disrespectful. My only issue is that it still feels like she's downplaying the way I feel. And if I had gone out for drinks with old female friends a few times in the past few years, and she was fine with it, well, I wouldn't have reason to be upset. Thank you so much, from the bottom of my heart, because this is how I feel completely. In fact, I said to her so many times it's the optics of it. It's if you write the facts down on paper, it looks like she's going on a date, and her husband is at home. I said if my mom called Sunday night and asked me where you were to say hello, and I told her the details, she would likely be upset and ask me why I'm okay with this. So yet her just not understanding the optics is what is still keeping me upset and sad. And yes, I had work the next morning. She just was laid off, but as a result we took our daughter out of camp, so she could watch her during the weekdays, and we can save a little dollar sign. She said if she was still working she likely wouldn't have done it, which made me mad also because in my rage brain, that felt like she's more committed to her job than her husband. Well, she might not know that me personally would not be able to sleep well. I have no clue what my wife is doing with a guy I met 2 times a decade ago, so she assumed her lateness wouldn't affect me, I suppose. It's funny you say that because I said similar. They were at a place near where my brother and his GF live. I said if she came in randomly and saw you sitting there all dolled up alone in a booth with a guy, you think she wouldn't text my brother what was going on? And she said well, I'd hope she'd come say hi and I'd introduce her to my old friend, and I'm like no. She'd assume you were cheating, take a picture, and lose respect for you, because of the optics. Sadly, I think I will start being more involved in my daughter's school and chatting with other parents, not being extra sure to focus more on the men than women. Women are often very engaged with my conversation, but I usually turn down the volume because I respect my wife. It makes me sad because this shouldn't be necessary, but we'll see if she tells me she's starting to get it. I don't just want to change myself to escalate this until it is divorce that makes sense. It's a somewhat minor thing that has become more personal and offensive. Yeah, absolutely, my wife is a woman who likes an opportunity to get dolled up. But like I said, there's a level of dolled up she tends to get for church, or if we're going to dinner with her parents, or before kids if we went out to a bar or club together. She wasn't dressed scantily or anything, just on up to the nines. I absolutely get that a woman wanting to look good isn't always about needing the male gaze, but I would think a woman would understand that if she's going out with a dude that's not her husband, maybe it's not the ideal time to go all out. Because of the optics. I usually wear jeans and a button-down shirt, blazer if it's an event. If I went out to meet a friend I'd be dressed like that. But emo if I spent an hour showering and had my hair impeccable, blazer on, fancy shoes and cologne to go meet up with a woman from earlier in my life, I think she'd be put off by that. But like I said, she's never ever had the opportunity to see if she'd feel jealous or disrespected in that situation. Oh, I see what you're saying, and no, this was local beach for us that we try to hit any weekend we're free and weather is nice. If she asked to go meet up with a friend alone on vacation, I would have absolutely put my foot down there. That's sacred time. Oh, and for the record, it wasn't dinner, just drinks from like 9:11 and then 11:50. Dinner and drinks wouldn't have been okayed by me, mostly because then I'd be doing the full nightly parenting routine while she's on a date. The only way I was okay with this is her being a part of dinner and cleanup. That's our norm when one of us has a rare after-work event. This is absolutely a wise take, and something I have already said to her. We don't have a set babysitter, and only have my brother local to us who is not a real kid person. Also try to save money, and eating out has gotten legitimately absurd in cost. Me taking a lead in planning that even if it's once a quarter would give me the chance to enjoy her like that and her to enjoy a cocktail out in the world. However, this night that hurt me was not her trying to get me jealous enough to work dates into our life. She just doesn't seem to understand how it feels to be at home, while your spouse is in a date-like situation, telling you it's not weird. She admitted herself that we both basically downplay minor holidays to try to save money. This isn't about her playing power moves to force me to take her out, but yeah, that's one healthy outcome of this dust up. My issue with likening me going out with an old dude friend to her going out with an old dude friend is the mere fact that my friend isn't gay, and I've never been attracted to men. The dynamic and optics are entirely different. Like so many have said before me, I trust my wife. I don't trust all the other dicks in the world. I see you're a man, not a woman, so I want to add in that women, and especially women who have kids and a family and work full-time, generally don't have many chances to get dressed up and do their makeup to feel as best they can about themselves. So I'd like to add that I get her wanting to get dolled up, but once again to not feel that it would be offensive to me to see her get that glammed up just to spend time with people other than me, and Ohio it happens to be a man, is not cool to me. Also, bringing me along isn't an option because we have kids, and it's the setting that makes it disrespectful to me. The only times she's ever had an opportunity to meet up with an old friend have been 2 times the last 6 years. Both times it was a man, and both times it happened at night when drinks and getting dressed up are involved. So these are all little things that annoy me, and to me mean she should be expecting that. It's a little upsetting to me. When we were chatting again last night far more civilly, I asked her how many of the times you've met up with an old friend has it been a man one-on-one, and at night with drinks and getting dressed up in the equation. Her response was understanding that yeah, that does seem weird. She has female friends but in other states, but we've just tended to do things with full couples most often. Also, this guy is not as physically attractive as I am, and I don't feel ashamed of my career state and earnings. I'm not jealous, suspicious of this individual at all. I'm trying to look past normal jealousy we all may feel when we've been cheated on in the past. It's just all the other details that make me angry. And if she did see where I was coming from, admit that if I did the same, she'd probably be at home thinking of reasons to hate me. I think I'd be over it. Just really annoyed that she's making me feel like the one who's being weird. Thank you for your input.